Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. What we heard there was that the Government still hasn't listened, they wouldn't accept any of the amendments, and the Secretary of State rehashed some of the old arguments. On one hand, he says about health and safety, but then he used the example of teachers. I have a point for him. Teachers aren't there as childminders. Teachers are there to provide education, and he's using them as an excuse to allow other people to get to work. Talks about protecting ordinary workers. What about rewarding the ordinary key workers providing these vital services instead of a culture war on them? They haven't listened to the fact that the ILO doesn't actually back their legislation. They've ignored the fact that European trade unionists have already stated that the UK has already got the most draconian strike legislation in place. And they refuse to acknowledge the point from the honourable member for my honourable friend from Edinburgh South West Mace, that the only other countries in Europe that allow governments to stipulate minimum service legislation and have workers penalised by getting the sack by not complying is Russia and Hungary. So that's the company the UK government's looking to keep. And they try and tell us, Mr Deputy Speaker, that workers such as nurses cannot get sacked, but yet the explanatory notes for the overview of the bill states clearly that this bill will restrict the protection of trade unions under the 1992 Act from legal action in respect of strikes relating to certain services and the automatic protection of employees from unfair dismissal. So overview of the bill makes it clear workers can get sacked if they don't comply with the work notices when they're told to work, even if they don't want to, and they want to adhere to the strike. They haven't listened either to the Right Honourable Member for North East Somerset, pointing out how badly written the bill is and the unlimited powers it gives this government. I note the Right Honourable Member for North East Somerset is suddenly in favour of the Lords amending legislation. So that's a change in tune from recent years when he was against the Lords amending legislation. But it shows you how bad things are when yet again we're relying on unelected Lords to amend the bill in here. The bill...
Grateful for the honourable gentleman for giving way. I'm in favour of their lordships doing their proper job, which is revising legislation to make this legislation, which is very good, perfect. That is what the Lords are there for.
As I say, didn't say that when it came to the European bill in Brexit. Anyway, so this bill still allows individual workers and trade unions to be targeted. It's an assault on the devolution settlement. Employment laws should have been devolved to the Scottish Parliament. I said earlier on, Labour opposed that getting devolved. But even worse, the powers in this bill allows the UK government to actually amend devolved legislation that's also passed. I realise an assault in the devolved nations, and I'm really disappointed that Labour wouldn't even back the SNP amendment, which would also have protected the Welsh Government and the Welsh Parliament. So I don't know why you sat their hands in this. But that's realised an assault in devolution, it's assaulting workers, it's assaulting trade unions. That's why we oppose this bill as well, but it's also why we need independence and away from this institution.